Hello, book friends. Friendship, family, yourself, romance, places, books. There is so much love out there. And today I'm here to talk about 12 books that talk about love that aren't romance novels. Hello, I'm Jen, and welcome back to my reading life. Now, I know February is the month of love, what with it being Valentine's Day. And when we think of love and Valentine's Day, we often think of romance. And while I do like a little romance as much as the next person, I also think that love comes in so many forms. And we shouldn't just limit ourselves to books about romance. So today I'm here to share some books that I think have love at the heart of them that aren't all about romance. Though I do have two books with two of my favorite love stories in them, and I'm going to share them with you now. And I'm going to start off with one of the most enduring kinds of love that there is, and that is, of course, friendship. And I'm going to start us off by sharing one of my favorite childhood book series about friendship, and that is the Betsy Tacy series by Maud Hart Lovelace. And this series is so fun. These are the first 4 books in the series, which are Betsy Tacy, Betsy Tacy and Tib, Betsy and Tacy Go Over the Big Hill, and Betsy and Tacy Go Downtown. And in this series, we follow Betsy, Tacy, and Tib as they grow up and become young women. And this is a series that can really grow with you. So when you start off with Betsy Tacy, you can start reading it at a fairly young age, or it makes a wonderful read aloud. And as you grow, you can read these stories as Betsy and Tacy grow. So you can grow with them. And I think that is such a lovely way to have written this series. I am actually going to be rereading these 2 Betsy Tacy books, which are Heaven to Betsy and Betsy in Spite of Herself. I'm hoping to get to them this month because I'm just so in the mood for that. But I just adore this series. I can't recommend it enough. It is so gentle and nostalgic, and if that is what your heart needs this month, then I highly recommend picking them up. I do think it's worthwhile to read them in order just so you can watch Betsy, Tacy, and Tib grow up. But yes, it is just a wonderful series. And my second recommendation for a book about friendship, it's actually 2 books, and these are contemporary novels that I absolutely adore. And the first is Love and Saffron, and the second is Kate and Frida by the wonderful Kim Fay. And these 2 stories are loosely connected. So Love and Saffron is the first book and Kate and Frida is the second. You can read them out of order, actually, so if one appeals to you more than the other. I would recommend reading Love and Saffron. It is the story of an older woman in her middle age who becomes friends via correspondence with a younger woman. And it's the story of their friendship, their bonding over food, and it's heartwarming, it's a bit heartbreaking, but overall, it is just such a lovely, lovely story. We are actually going to be reading Love and Saffron for the Cozy Reader Book Club. I am forgetting at the moment which month we are reading this in. I'm going to put it here on the screen, but if you didn't read this in February, you could certainly read it or reread it, as I'm going to do along with the Cozy Reader Book Club this year. This is a book I cannot recommend enough. And Kate and Frida also. This one is wonderful because Kate and Frida bond over a love of books. And so that is just another added element. And Kim Fay talks about different books in here, which made me want to go out and read the ones that I hadn't read, and I always love that when that happens in books. So not only is there friendship, but there's book love in this one as well. So I don't think you can go wrong with either of these. If you are looking for novels that I think really truly represent what female friendship is like, both of these are excellent picks for that. My next category of love is loving yourself, because I think that there are some wonderful books out there about knowing your own worth and coming to understand who you are and appreciate yourself and what you have to give to the world and to others. And I think one sort of subgenre of books that does that really well is the coming of age novel. And one of my very favorite coming of age novels is Up a Road Slowly by Irene Hunt. And in this, we follow Julie from a young girl until she graduates from high school, and her mother has passed away. And when she is, I think, about 7 or 8 years old, she is sent to live with her aunt, who doesn't live far from her family. And we just follow Julie as she grows and matures and comes into herself as a person. And I think she really starts to see herself in her world and how she fits in, and that she does matter and she is important and worthy of both loving herself and being loved by others. And I just love this story so much. I first read it when I was a young teen, and it is just a favorite of mine from a very young age. I just reread it very recently, and I highly recommend it if you enjoy coming of age novels. It is just a pure joy to read. And then my second book in this category is actually kind of on the other end of the spectrum, and we have an older woman who has worked hard her whole life and finally decides to put herself first and do something just for her, and that is Mrs. Eris Goes to Paris by Paul Gallico. And this is the story of a charwoman, Mrs. Eris, and while she is cleaning one of her clients' homes, she sees this Dior gown, and she decides that she wants this gown for herself. Not the woman's gown, but she's going to get herself a Dior gown. And she starts saving up all of her money so that she can go to Paris and go to Dior and get this gown. And we just follow Mrs. Harris along as she sort of blossoms over the course of what happens to her on this journey to get this beautiful dress for herself. And I just love this book. I think it is so charming is probably the best word I can use for it. I love this book, and I am long overdue for a reread. Such a heartwarming story. So if that is what you need, a little bit of loving yourself and treating yourself to something really beautiful, definitely read Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And then my next category of books about love is familial love. So the love that we have in our families, for our families. And I have 2 books here, the first of which is by one of my favorite authors, and that is Mrs. Lorimer's Quiet Summer by Molly Clavering. And this title is a bit of a misnomer because this summer of Mrs. Lorimer's is anything but quiet. Her entire family descends on her and her husband, which she wants to have happen. So she has grown children, she has grandchildren. Some of them are staying in their home, some of them are staying at a neighbor's, and we just follow along with the Lorimer family and all of the trials, tribulations, dramas that go on amongst all of them. But really at the heart of it is Mrs. Lorimer and her love for her family and just wanting them to be around her. And I just adored this. Of course, it would be perfect in summertime, but if you're needing a little bit of summer in your life at this moment, then I definitely recommend picking this one up. I think it will warm you inside if it can't warm you outside. I just love stories where families, they're not perfect, but you just see that there's genuine love and affection between all of them. And I think that's what you will find in Mrs. Lorimer's Quiet Summer. Now, my next book may not seem obviously about familial love, but just hang in with me and we're going to get there, I believe. And that book is actually a modern retelling of a classic novel. And this is Darling by India Knight. Now, Darling is a retelling of The Pursuit of Love by Nancy Mitford. I don't think you need to have read The Pursuit of Love in order to enjoy Darling. So if you haven't, but you want to read this one, I say dive right in. Knowing The Pursuit of Love might help you a little bit as you read through this, but Darling is almost verbatim a modernization of The Pursuit of Love. The story arc is exactly the same. And while obviously The Pursuit of Love, the title is about love and romantic love in that respect, at the heart of it is the Ratlet family. So we're following Linda Ratlet and her pursuit of love, but she has the most eccentric family, as the Mitfords were eccentric. Nancy Mitford's books were often semi-autobiographical, and The Pursuit of Love definitely was. So she pulled from her own family's personalities to create the characters in that, and India Night has taken those same characteristics and just put them in a modern setting. I love that the father in this is an aging rock star, and he's become a recluse, and he doesn't let the family have any kind of technology. So I don't even think they have a television. He won't let them have cell phones. He won't let them have computers, any of that. He's just paranoid about the intrusiveness of the outside world getting into his life now that he has sort of left that all behind. He is such a fun and hilarious character. I really just love the family unit in here. They are very quirky, and I just think that's so fun. But at the heart of it is love for one another. And I think that if you want a book about familial love, even though there is a little bit of, romance happening in this as well, this is a wonderful book to read. I highly recommend it. Isn't this cover gorgeous? I just love this. I'm gonna have to reread this one soon too. It's been a couple of years now, and it is fabulous. Another type of love that I think often shows up in books is love of a place. So a physical location, whether that be a home or a town or a country. And there are some really wonderful books out there that focus on the love of a place. And I'm going to share two of my favorites with you now. The first is a book by another of my favorite authors, and this is Letter from New York by Helene Hanff. And this is actually a compilation of some radio programs that Helene Hanff did for the BBC. It was supposed to last, I believe, for 6 months and turned into a 6-year project. It started in 1978, and she did these monthly broadcasts, and each 5-minute vignette was a love letter to her adored New York City. And so those have basically been, sort of transcribed from her written notes and put into this lovely edition by Manderley Press. And I just adored this. It is so fun. You learn all about Helene's life in her apartment building, and you get to know her neighbors. There's lots of dogs in the story, which is also lovely. And it truly is a love letter to New York City. And as much as I couldn't ever see myself living in a big city like New York City, I love to read about it. It is such a fun place to visit as well. And reading this book will probably make you want to visit, because Helene, you can tell just in her heart, she is a New Yorker through and through. It's just a wonderful homage to New York City. And if you have been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that I am an Anglophile at heart. So any book that celebrates England and all of its glory and foibles and all of that is right up my alley. And my very favorite book, which really in the title or the subtitle talks about falling in love, is A Fine Romance by Susan Branch. And as I said, the subtitle is Falling in Love with the English Countryside. And this is Susan Branch's journal of her trip finally to England. She and her husband Joe take the QE2 and they sail to England because Susan Branch doesn't fly. And it's all about their trip there and touring around the English countryside, all of the lovely literary places she visits, like Beatrix Potter's home. And it's just so wonderful. And it's filled with photos, with her illustrations, and of course her beautiful handwriting. And if you are at all interested in the English countryside, this is the book to read. I also love, she includes things like music to listen to It says ideas for music to go with views of England. It says American CDs work just fine in English cars. And then she has a list here of music that she thinks you could listen to while you are touring around the British Isles. She has lists of books to read, and it is just, I mean, it's just perfection. I cannot say enough good things about this book. I mean, it's beautiful to look at. It is beautiful to read. It is just so, again, charming, quaint, gentle. If that is what your heart needs this month, then definitely pick this up. And I think you can just kind of, gently read through it. You don't need to sit down and read it cover to cover, though you may end up doing that once you start because it is hard to stop. But I absolutely adore this, as I adore all of Susan Branch's books, but this one's my favorite. Now, if you are watching this video, I am going to assume that you are a book lover. And so my next category of books are books about loving books and reading. And my first book, actually, it was funny because when I was pulling books for this video, I pulled out this book and I was just kind of flipping through it, refreshing my memory a little bit. And I turned back to the first page and started reading and read about 6 pages before I thought, Jen, you got to stop. You need to film about this book. But I'm just going to continue on reading it because it's been a while since I've picked this one up. And enough of me teasing what this book is. The book is How Reading Changed My Life by Anna Quindlen. But Anna Quindlen, I mean, she really just talks about, like she says, how reading changed her life. And it starts off, when she, starts reading as a young girl and the books that influenced her as a child and just going through her life up until, when she wrote this book. She references so many books in here, and even in the first few pages is making me want to both reread some books as well as read some of the books that she mentions that I have not yet read. She does mention A Tale of Two Cities, and that's a Dickens I really need to read at some point. I mean, there's so many Dickens I need to read, but let's not get off topic with that. However, I just think this is such a lovely book for book lovers and readers, and it's very, very short, as you can see. Here you get a 360 view of the book for some reason. But this is just so wonderful, a book for book lovers. And yes, Anna Quindlen, she's a fantastic writer. I highly recommend this one. Next up is a book about books that came into my life before the internet was a thing. So I've had this book for a very long time, and it is written by maybe America's most famous librarian. I don't know. I think she might be. But she is such a fantastic resource for books if you're looking for some type of book. And I have used this as a reference to look for books when I was in the mood for something and I didn't know what I should read. This book came in so handy, and that is Book Lust by Nancy Pearl. This is recommended reading for every mood, moment, and season. And what could be better than that? It's literally lists of books. So she has things from bicycling. So if you want to read books about bicycling, she has King Arthur, one of my favorite topics. She has, memoirs, 100 good reads decade by decade. There are just so many categories of books that she recommends, and I have gone through and put stars next to books I want to read just over the years, and I will just pull this book out sometimes when I just kind of want to maybe get my reading life reinvigorated. Like if you're ever in a reading slump, this book would be fantastic, because I think once you start reading about some of these books, it's going to make you want to read a book, some book, even if it's not a book mentioned in here. And I just adore this book so much. Oh, I better not open it again, or I'm just going to get sucked back into reading about all the books she talks about in here. If you want a list of books cultivated by a librarian, then definitely pick up Book Lust. And finally, because of course, Valentine's Day often means romantic love. That's what we think of, I think, when we think of Valentine's Day and Cupid and all of that. So I did want to share here my last category of books, which are books about romantic love. Two of my very, very favorites. I think I talk about these all the time, but I wanted them to be in this video because I just love them so much. And if I'm going to talk about books that feature romance, these are always the first two that come to mind when I think of books about romance that I love. They're not romance novels. They're just fiction that features romance. And the first is The Red Notebook by Antoine Lorraine. I know many of you have picked this one up on my recommendation. It is just... I just love it so much. I love Antoine Lorraine's writing. He may not be for everyone, excuse me. He is translated from the French, so all of his novels he wrote in French. And there's something a little bit maybe magical realism about them, but it's very light. And I think you can enjoy these even if magical realism isn't your go-to genre. Like I said, it's just an aspect of the books, which I just think gives them a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of extra je ne sais quoi. But I just love The Red Notebook. Basically, we have a bookstore owner, Laurent Letellier. I mean, what's not to like about that to start off with? And he finds an abandoned handbag on a Parisian street, and he decides he's going to figure out who it belongs to because there's no identification in this handbag. But there is this red notebook where the owner of the handbag, this woman, has written down all kinds of just jottings, things she's noticed, reminders to herself, like just all kinds of things in this notebook. And so he goes on a quest to find out who she is. And we go along for the ride with this. And I have compared this book to the movie While You Were Sleeping. It's a little bit the French version of that. A little bit. That's the only thing I can compare to. But if that sounds intriguing to you, definitely give The Red Notebook a read. I love this book. Again, another book that I am overdue for a reread of. It's very slim. It's perfect to read in February. I cannot recommend it enough. And then finally, what would a video about books featuring love, books that I love featuring love, be without my very favorite book of all time? You know what I'm about to say, and that is Happy All the Time by Laurie Colwin. I absolutely love this book. It is about two couples. We have Vincent and Misty and Holly and Guido. And Vincent and Guido are cousins and they have grown up together. They're the best of friends, and we follow them along as they fall in love with these two very unique, very quirky women. And they try to kind of settle into their lives with these women, or how these women change their lives. And it's just, it's like an exhale for me personally. I fall into this book and I am just under the spell of Laurie Colwin's descriptive writing, and her characterization is like no other. And she brings this sort of moment in time in New York City, these particular couples, to life in a way that I don't think anybody else could. She had such her own unique voice. I just adore this book. And again, Laurie Colwin may not be for everybody, so I will put that out there, but she is an author for me. I love everything that she's written, and this is my very, very favorite, and it is a lovely love story. I can't recommend this one enough, so saved the best for last. And that wraps up my books about love that aren't romance novels, and I hope you enjoyed me sharing a few books with you that talk about love in all its different forms. Not all of its different forms, but some of its different forms, other than just specifically romance. Because I think what we all need is a little more love in our lives, don't we? And I hope you can find a book or two from this stack that appeals to you, that you can add to your own personal to-read list. Let us chat down in the comments. I would love to hear some of your favorite books about love. Love in all of its forms. I mean, there could be so many more categories than this, but I would love to hear what you would add to this list. Let us make an even bigger list down in the comments of books about love that are more than just romance. Nothing wrong with a romance novel, but let's add to that bookshelf of love. And if you're here, but you don't have anything that you would like to add in the comments, but you'd like to let me know that you were here, well, of course, what else would I have you leave but a heart? Please leave all the heart emojis that you would like. Let us fill the comments with love. And I thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could hit that like button. And now also you have the hype button as well if you're on the YouTube mobile app. And both of those really do help my channel. And of course, if you're new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I would love if you would do so. Hit that subscribe button and join my cozy bookish corner of the internet. And I'll be back with another video very soon. And until then, I wish you a good book and a warm cuppa. Bye.